Hello, guys. This is my first tier ranking video. I'm kind of excited and I'm kind of nervous. It took me so long to set this up. I uploaded all the pictures and then I was like, oh, I should probably be in presentation mode, right? Clicked presentation mode and it was like all of my photos were gone. And I had just spent 10 solid minutes organizing them in order of when I read them. So I've reorganized, I'm in presentation mode, we're ready to go, okay? We have created the tier ranking lists. Okay, so we have Screams, books that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Second tier is, love. Just books that I really enjoyed reading. Maybe not 100% perfect for me, but really enjoyed. The next tier is genuinely a fun time. Like, I had a great time. I don't have any complaints. It wasn't perfect, but it was fun. I liked it. I had a good time. The next tier is nothing to write home about. Like, it was fine. It was good, but I probably forgot that I read it. And then we have simply just not for me. That might be something that is like, I understand that it's probably a good book. Maybe it's just not my cup of tea. Maybe it's just not for me. I didn't enjoy it that much, but I could see why other people do. The next tier is, the more I think about it, that's the kind of book that every time you think about it, you like it less. You know what I mean? Like every time you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, I did read that book, and then what did I rate that? Look back at it, that's really high, and then just dropping the rating down. The last tier is, don't even get me started. And unfortunately, there's a couple of books in there this year. Let's just get into it, shall we? I took all of this time to organize all of this. There's 70 books here, and yeah, let's just go right into it. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk about each book or if I'm just kind of gonna speed right through, but let me stop dilly-dallying. First book of the year. I also have it in like square or book format, so if you see it's a square, I listened to it versus reading it physically. First book is How to Keep House While Drowning, and that goes in the love category. Absolutely highly recommend if you haven't read or listened to this book. It's a great resource for people who have any kind of mental health issues or ADHD or whatever, that kind of stuff, like feeling very overwhelmed by house tasks. It kind of reframes it into the idea of care tasks and having them be neutral. So currently, I have an overflowing sink full of dishes and it's neutral. It's not me failing as a person. It's just there's a lot of dishes and I fed myself well this whole week. You know what I mean? Anyways, highly recommend to anyone. Court of Thorns and Roses. This was a book that when I first read it, I was like, wow, I get it. I so get it. And the more that I think about it, not as much. Like, it was definitely a fun read. I did enjoy this book. In terms of like the whole experience, this was the most pure, this first book. When I was not corrupted by the rest of this series, I would say. I'm gonna stand by the fact that it was genuinely a fun time. I enjoyed my time reading the book. That's all I'm gonna say. I enjoyed my time reading it, so sue me. Okay, next, we're on this cute little get things organized audiobook journey. Big note that I will say is like, if you see like a bunch of books and then an audiobook and then I work at a theater and I do shoe call and laundry. So when I'm at work, there's a good chance that I'm able to be listening to an audiobook or something, and you bet your bottom dollar that I will take that chance anytime that I can get. So there's a lot of random audiobooks in here because if I'm bored and I don't feel like listening to music, I will just go on my Libby app and be like, what's an audiobook that's available now? And then pick something that sounded interesting. So yeah, anyways, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning is like, love. So good, so cute, so quick little listen, quick little read. It's kind of just like why minimalism and decluttering is helpful, especially when you're old or whatever, because by the time you're dead, you can't take it with you, so someone else is gonna have to declutter all your shit. So if you're doing it for other people before you die, that's really helpful. That's kind of what this book is about. Definitely recommend. A Court of Mist and Fury. Genuinely a fun time. I had a good time reading this book, but the first chunk of that book was so slow. And also, I haven't really thought about it, if I'm being totally honest. So, whatever. A Court of Wings and Ruin. Personally, nothing to write home about. I could probably tell you 2 things that happened in that book, and that's it. It kind of just, the series started going downhill real fast after that one, and kind of during that one. It was a bit of a slog to get through for me. Anyways, better than the movies. I'm just gonna say nothing to write home about. I forgot that I even listened to this book. Again, it was one of those ones where I was at work, I needed something to listen to that was available. I had heard some booktubers talk about it, and I was like, okay, might as well. It is literally the exact same plot as The Duff. I don't know which one came out first, that book or the movie. I think it might have been the movie. It's the exact same plot, just so you know. Anyways, the unfortunate side effects of heartbreak and magic. Honestly, I almost want to put it in the more I think about it. I didn't hate this book, and I wouldn't say it's simply not for me, because it was cute and whatever, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, this book was not good or interesting. I don't know. Something about it just feels kind of boring and bland. There was also a couple of random sprinkles of Christianity in there that I was just didn't need to be there. One thing that I did like about it was that at the end of every chapter there was a cute little recipe, and I saved a bunch of them. So it was a fine book, but the more that I think about it, every time I think about it, I'm like, did I really like that book, or did I just want a book that was cute and cozy? I don't know. You know what I'm gonna say about this. I've already talked about this book so many times. I'm so sorry, I don't know what it is. I'm gonna shut up about it because there's nothing I've not already said about this book. It was just not for me. It was just not for me. I don't know. And as you can see, look at all these books that I had read previous. Is my brain, after all of that, supposed to read A Secret History and actually comprehend anything that it's reading? Why did I do that? Anyways, whatever. The vibes were cool. There was a couple of quotes in there that I was like, yeah. But in general, not for me. I'm so sorry. Whiplash, though, because the next book I read, Homegoing, screams at the top of my lungs, go read this book. Absolutely, 100%. Go read that book, especially if you are American. 100% go read that book. Incredible. A Quarter for the more I think about it, the more stupid I think it is. Everyone's like, oh no, it's a cute little Christmas special. Nothing happens in that book except our main character making an absolutely out-of-pocket decision. And if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Absolutely comes way too soon. What the frick is going on? So dumb. The writing is even cringier in this one than all the other ones. I don't know what crack she was on when she wrote this, but it's not good. I'm sorry. Let me shut up. Yeah, the more I think about it, every single time I think about it, I'm like, lower the score. Yeah. Sunbearer Trials. This one is so cute. Genuinely a fun time. It's a YA fantasy that takes place in Mexico, and it's these kids, these demigods are competing in these trials. It's so fun. Definitely very, very YA vibes, but the main character is trans, and it's just so much fun. I really enjoyed this. I'm excited to read the second book in this little duology. Book lovers, I've got to be screams because this was a 5-star read for me. I ended up kind of reading a lot of Emily Henry books last year. Accidentally, the rest of her entire catalog that I hadn't read the year before. Actually, most of her catalog I think I read last year. I really enjoyed it. I don't know what it was about that book. The banter literally had me giggling, kicking my feet. I'm definitely gonna have to reread this one at some point in the near future. Obviously, I would really love to get physical copies of like Emily Henry's books, but it's so funny because everyone has like their favorite, and I feel like whichever Emily Henry book is your favorite says a lot about you as a person. And yeah, Book Lovers is mine, so that's it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. A Court of Silver Flames. Don't even get me started. I'm serious. Don't even get me started about that book. I could say so many things, but again, if you like this book, I feel like it says certain things about you and your personality. If you don't, it also says things about you. I am not one of the people that enjoy this book. And I'm gonna leave it at that. We're moving on. When He Was Wicked. Nothing to write home about. Okay, guys. I wasn't even gonna include these books. I don't even think I included them in my story graph. It was fine. It was fun. Like all the Bridgertons are. Cringy, predictable. But guess what? It did what it needed to do. Same thing. It's in his kiss. Literally nothing to write home about. There's nothing special about like half of the Bridgerton books, if not more. Absolutely a homogenous pile of glitter and goop. And guess what? I love them. Lessons in Chemistry. I don't really know where to put this one because honestly, I didn't love it as much as everyone else did, I feel like. It was a good book. I don't know. Was it genuinely a fun time? I kind of liked the main character and how little fucks she had to give. So I'm just going to say genuinely a fun time. Like, I enjoyed my time reading it. I wouldn't say it was nothing to write home about, but will I reread that book? Probably not. Actually, definitely not. I don't think I'll ever reread that book. Anyways, On the Way to the Wedding, again, literally nothing to write home about. Just don't worry about it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of these in this category right now because guess what? Most romance, I read it to forget the horrors and then move on with my life. So that's gonna be the same for Truthfully Yours. This is like an indie published book. This young autistic woman wrote a book. I found out about it on Instagram or something like that, and I was like, hell yeah, let's read a female main character who's bisexual and autistic. I'm so here for this. And it was fine. It literally did what it needed to do. Takes place in Scotland. It's fun. Nothing to write home about. Again, a romance for me just needs to like distract my mind from everything that's going on in the world so that I can continue not having a panic attack every waking moment of the day. And that's what it did. On the other hand, I will not ever stop screaming about how much I love The 7-Year Slip. Absolutely, hands down, my favorite romance of the year. I don't know what she put in that book, but it worked for me. Yeah, 100% recommend that book if you like flowery romances set in New York City. It's magical realism. What more could you ask for? I love this book. I'm gonna reread it in a few months. I'm so excited. I love that book. Okay. Anyways, People We Meet on Vacation. Genuinely a fun time. Nothing crazy about that book. It was fine. It was good. I enjoyed it more than I think most people do, whatever. I feel like not a lot of people love that book. They always say that it's their least favorite Emily Henry book. I don't know if it's my least favorite Emily Henry book. It might be, but it's not like way below all the other ones. I felt like I kind of related to the characters in this one with my own personal situations and circumstances. So, you know, it was fine. The Do-Over. I don't know whether to put it in love or genuinely a fun time because I feel like it was genuinely a fun time and I did really enjoy that book, but have I thought about it since I read it? Not really, no. So I think I'm just gonna put it in genuinely a fun time. Definitely recommend it if you're looking for a romance. This is an author I don't think is talked about enough. What's her name? Bethany Turner I am excited to read more of her books. I got it as a recommendation from one of the mods in my Discord server. She wasn't a mod at the time, but she is now. And she reads romance books like it's her motherfucking job. She recommended this to me because she said that this author was very greatly underrated, and I would have to agree. And I'm excited to read more of her books because they were fun and they were deep, they were moving, it was cute, it was like a little emotional. I liked it a lot. Project Hail Mary, honestly, genuinely fun time. I really had a good time during this one. I don't really know what else to say without spoiling things, but this was probably like my first romp into science fiction, and I enjoyed myself. This was another person who is now a mod in the server, suggested it to me, and I'm very glad that I read it because I am not a science fiction girly. As you may know, depending on which of my videos you've watched, I am afraid of aliens, so I am very wary of science fiction. I do not like aliens. Anyways, this book I enjoyed. It was very good and funnier than I thought it was going to be. Very sarcastic. I can't wait to see Ryan Gosling play this main character. That's gonna be so fun. Anyways, let's move on. Our Wives Under the Sea. That one is simply just not for me. I understand the vision. I get why people like this book. I don't really like body horror. The way that this book went very much gave a play that if I say it, if you know the play, it'll kind of give away the plot of this book that I don't want to do. But it reminded me of a play that I studied in college. And I was kind of like, oh, so we're going there. We're doing that. And it was just kind of hard to take seriously a little bit. The writing was beautiful. There was a lot of quotes that I like highlighted in this book that I was like, wow, this is really good. The writing was great, you know. The Night Circus. I think I'm gonna put this one in, love. I really, really weirdly enjoyed The Night Circus. I wasn't expecting to, honestly, because I feel like people have really aggressive feelings on either side of the spectrum about this book, and I was so scared to see where I fell. I really liked it. I thought that I wasn't going to because I'm usually not a no plot, just vibes kind of book girl. However, this book was really fun. I liked how there was and wasn't a plot. It was kind of vague, but it kind of at the same time, there was like a through line. The magic was so fun. The atmosphere, at the end of the day, this is what it boils down to for me. And I think I've realized that this year is that if the book has a good setting and a good atmosphere, I don't really care what's going on. I will like it. Because this book barely had a plot to speak of, but the atmosphere that we were in throughout the book, like the vibes, first of all, deeply, deeply reminded me of the production of Sleep No More, which just closed after being open for like 10 plus years in New York City. One of my friends worked there and got me in, and it was like one of the coolest theater experiences I've ever had in my entire life, and this book felt like that. And guess what? The author went to Sleep No More in like 2 or 3 different cities, has been like immersed in this kind of thing. It just very much felt like that. And I think having gone to that show, had that experience, and then read this book, it just like worked for me. So I'm definitely one of the people that like The Night Circus. The Summer Job, genuinely a fun time. Really enjoyed this one. Silly little romance. The absolute absurdity of the circumstances that this book has set up, it is absolutely ridiculous. You completely have to suspend your disbelief, but it's a fun time. Beach read, genuinely a fun time. I know some people that beach read is like by far their favorite Emily Henry book. It's like perfect, it's amazing. I don't know if it's just because I read too many Emily Henry books this year. I literally read 4 of her books out of the 5 that are out. Also, sorry about the radiator. It's literally off. I don't know what to do. It was a good book. It was fun. It was cute. But, you know, I'm not in any rush to reread that. Book lovers, on the other hand, sooner rather than later. Beach read, could take it or leave it. Meet Me at the Lake, nothing to write home about. It was average. It was fine. I read one other Carly Fortune book the year before last year, and something about it really clicked for me. I think a lot of people had very mixed feelings about the one that I read. What was it called? Every Summer After? I don't remember, but I just felt like I really related to like the situationship that was going on in that book via like my past and like my first love kind of situation. Anyways, this one, it was fine. It was kind of frustrating because both of the characters were a little bit annoying and a little bit self-destructive in the way of like, oh no, I'm not good enough for you, so I'm gonna eject myself from this situation. I hate that. It's probably my least favorite thing in a romance book, honestly. Like, get over yourself. Go to therapy or get over yourself. I hate it. Anyways, Violetta. I thought it was genuinely a fun time. I mean, not necessarily fun per se, because it's not necessarily a fun book, but it's really beautifully written. This story is written as a letter to her descendant, I will say, without spoiling anything, chronicling her life from the year 1920 to 2020. So she comes in a pandemic and she goes out in a pandemic. And it's very, very interesting. It kind of takes place in like a fictional South American country, very much with real world events going on in and around it. So if you like historical fiction, definitely recommend this book. And there's like a lot of political elements as well. It made me cry. The Art of Frugal Hedonism. Also genuinely a fun time. It's a nonfiction book, so it can't be fun, but like it was very informative. Very much is like take what advice you want and leave the rest, like all nonfiction books, as I always say. But I remember reading a chapter of this book, going downtown, and instead of going into a coffee shop to buy a coffee for a couple dollars, I just sat in the sun, people watching, for like half an hour, and it's probably one of my fondest memories from the year of 2024. It was so lovely. I enjoyed it a lot. So that's what this book kind of tells you to do. Like, enjoy the small things. Stop spending money on stuff you don't need to. Some of the advice is a little weird. Some of it's a little, but just leave it. Take everything with a grain of salt, especially if it's a nonfic book. Take what applies, leave what does not. Love that book. Paladin's Grace. I am such a hoe for this series. I loved these characters so much. This was my first T. Kingfisher book, and I cannot wait to read more of her writing. I am nervous almost to read the rest of her writing because I'm worried that it won't be as good. I really loved this series so much. The way that she writes, the banter is so funny. Like, half of these characters are such horny bastards and it's hilarious. I really just had such a good time. And then there's like an element of mystery going on throughout it. It's in the medieval times. I really love a medieval romantasy, I'm realizing. So I'm on the lookout for more of those. If you have a medieval romantasy rec, hit me up in the comments, please. Okay, love lists and fancy ships. Honestly, I'm just gonna say that it was nothing to write home about. It was a good book. I enjoyed it. It's also very sad. She very much does like trauma porn romance, just so you're aware. This one was my least favorite of the trilogy, I think. Yeah, it was fine. I think I rated it like 3.75 or something. Like, it was fine, good almost, but nothing to write home about. It was good for when I had it, but I honestly kind of have forgotten that I read it. Anyways, Paladin's Strength. Love. Absolutely, this series is just like, I think this one, Paladin's Grace and Paladin's Strength, I think are my two favorites in the bunch, for sure. There's only 4 out. I've only read 3 of them because I'm kind of savoring the last one. Because if it leaves me on a cliffhanger, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because there's still 3 more that need to come out in this series. Anyways, I really enjoy this series, in case you couldn't tell. The Madness of Miss Grey. I think that was genuinely a fun time. I know, it was like, I don't even know what time period this was in. It's kind of I think it's technically a Regency romance, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not very good at the time periods, Elizabethan, Victorian, all that shit. I don't know. But it was fun. It was really fun. I really liked the spice, the romance, the main character, the female main character is so fun. She's so like feisty. Definitely enjoyed this one. I guess I was kind of a little bit in a Regency romance kick this year because there was a fair amount of Regency romance that I read. Anyways, it ends with Us by Colleen Hoover. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. And if you do want to get me started, I have a video of me ranting about this book. Full spoilers, because I don't think you should read it. Honestly, I don't think you should read it. It is so cringy. I don't know what this book exactly was trying to do. It kind of did what it was trying to do, maybe, I think, if it was about domestic violence. The romance, terrifying. Terrifying. I don't think she was cooking as hard as she thought she was. It's a no from me. I'm never reading another Colleen Hoover book if I can fucking help it. Honestly, sorry to say. Sorry, Colleen. And this makes me so sad because I was like about to go into orbit because of how bad of a reading slump this book was about to put me in. And I read Funny Story immediately after to like hope and pray that Emily Henry could pull me out of the depths of despair that this book put me into. And I feel like I barely remember Funny Story. I feel like if I had read it at a different time, I would have liked it so much more because I remember really liking it. But at the same time, I feel like I forgot half of what actually went on in that book. I remember the banter being so funny though and so cute. Like, this is a book that I want to reread of Emily's, so I think I'm just going to say love, because I really genuinely, I did enjoy. And I do want to reread it because I feel like it deserved better. And I was definitely in a reading slump after It Ends With Us. Oh my god. And then, unfortunately, This Is How We Lose the Time War. Yeah, it just ended up not being for me. I don't know if it was because I was in the depths of hell in my reading slump. I was not processing information. It took me like 2 weeks to read this barely 200-page book. I think because it took me so long, I was just losing the plot that, let's be honest, is barely there to begin with. It's a very like cerebral book. It does not hold your hand when it comes to the world building. It kind of just throws you right in. Doesn't care if you know what's going on. Just goes for it. And then the like romance element kind of is very like wispy to me. And then it was like, am I supposed to feel something? And I don't know if that's because it just took me so long to read it and I was also in a reading slump. This is another one that I would like love to try again and reread. But for the first time around, it just didn't do it for me. So yeah, I felt kind of stupid. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, it doesn't really click for me. And everyone was like, so many people were like, wow, love this book. I just didn't click that way. But I feel like if I read it at a different time, I would like it a lot more. Because the writing is very beautiful. Like, genuinely, really pretty. So, I'm definitely going to give it another chance, but at the moment, it's not really one for me. As I was saying, the Regency romance vibe, I think this is like a Regency mystery with like a whisper of romance in the background, kind of. This was literally just like, I think maybe a person had recommended it to me, perhaps, and I needed something to listen to at work, so I listened to A Body in the Garden, and then I think I listened to like 2 of the other books in this series. It did what it needed to do. It is nothing to write home about. I literally forgot that I listened to that book. So yeah. Paladin's Grace. This one, not as good as the other ones. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was, again, still, I was coming out of the tail end of my reading slump. but it just didn't click for me as much. It wasn't as interesting. The stakes weren't as high. I just didn't have as much of a good time with as I did with the other two. However, it still was a good time, just not as much as the other ones. An Ember in the Ashes. That is what got me out of my reading slump. I finally had broken through, and I really enjoyed this one. I would almost put this in the love category because I really loved it. It's definitely very much still a YA fantasy. There's a little bit of romance in there, but you know how YA fantasy romances are. Love triangle, you know how much I hate those. Just because, like, teens can't decide what they want for breakfast, let alone who they have a crush on. Am I right? Anyways, I really enjoyed this book a lot, and I'm super excited to continue reading the series very soon. I literally have the second book on my Kindle as we speak, so I want to read that as soon as possible. I very much love the world that Sabaa Tahir has created, and I'm excited to go back in. Anyways, The Silence in the Library. Again, literally nothing to write home about. It exists. It did the job that it was supposed to do. It kept me entertained at work, and I'm thankful for it. Don't Want You Like a Best Friend. Genuinely a fun time. I did a buddy read of this with, again, another mod in my Discord server. And we both thought it was so cute. I think that I'm just such a hoe for Regency romance, and this one was a sapphic Regency romance. I mean, are you kidding me? Definitely had a fun time. Super cute. Definitely would recommend. Take all the time you need. This, at the time, was an arc. I think by now it's probably out. It was fine. Again, did what it needed to do. It was a totally, perfectly forgettable romance. Very much dealt with the topic of grief. It was set in New York, so that was fun. It was cute. It was a little clunky for sure, but like I had a good time while reading it. It was fine. But again, it was kind of nothing to write home about. Like, I haven't really thought about it at all since I read it, so yeah. The Darkest Part of the Forest. I would say that's a love. I really enjoyed this one, like randomly. Really needed something to listen to at work, and I saw that this was available on audiobook, and I liked it so much that I was like, no, I need my eyeballs to read the words that this fucking woman has written down. For me, I don't know what it is. If a book is like really, really good, I just feel like I want to read it unless it's super like great audiobook narration. So I was like listening to it at first, and then I was like, no, I need to read this book. It feels like a fairy tale. I'm having so much fun. Like, this literally feels like a fable. It's like a YA fantasy. It's like fae, but like the creepy, gross kind that are like made out of tree bark and like evil kind of. So much fun. Definitely recommend that one. Local Woman Missing. I'm just gonna say don't even get me started on that one. Again, if you want to know about the Don't Even Get Me Started books, besides A Court of Silver Flames, all the other ones, they all have reading vlogs, so don't worry about it. Go find them, go watch them, have a good time. If you like to see people complaining about books for quite a long time. Anyways, let's move on. The Naturals. I don't really know what to say about these because they're so cute. I'm gonna say genuinely a fun time. I really, really liked these books a lot. Again, YA, like, it's so cheesy and silly. There's always a fucking love triangle. Like, literally get me out of this YA hell. I read a lot of YA books this year, like more than I would have expected. I think I read 0 the year prior, and the fact that I read like a genuine handful this year is so wild to me. But they're kind of cute, and I'm finding that I really like YA thrillers instead of adult thrillers. Adult thrillers are always disappointing me. Like, almost always, if I read a adult thriller, I am freaking disappointed. The YA thrillers, though, real cute, super adorable, and I enjoy them. So yeah, the Natural series, so adorable, and I love Criminal Minds. I've seen that show like twice all the way through. Definitely the same kind of vibe. So if you like Criminal Minds, you will like the Natural series. I haven't read the last book in the series yet because I'm kind of like waiting. But yeah, The Wedding Witch. Genuinely a fun time. I really like this series, this little trilogy, the Graves Glen trilogy. This is the third book in the trilogy of The Ex-Hex and The Kiss Curse. It's set during Yule, and it's really cute. It's totally different from the other books, like a totally different kind of plot, different vibe. I was not expecting the way that this went, but I really enjoyed it. If you want fun, witty, witchy romance with nice banter, this series is what you're looking for. Lisa Jewell, none of this is true. I didn't hate this book as much as the other book, so I'm gonna say, the more I think about it, because this thing goes like both ways. The more I think about it, the more I was like, yeah, Lisa Jewell is like not super high on my shit list. She's kind of like vaguely hovering in it because I just don't really enjoy how dark and grotesque her books are. They're just not really for me. Like every time I read one of her books, I genuinely feel disgusting afterwards. I don't like the way her books make me feel. And they're definitely more suspense than thriller, which I just don't really think is necessarily my vibe. I can't read any more of her books. Oryx and Crake, I'm gonna say nothing to write home about. I'm so sorry to Margaret Atwood. I respect you so much. You are a queen, but this book is weird. I read Year of the Flood in high school, and I wanted to read this whole Mad Adam trilogy. I started with Oryx and Crake. It took me so long to get through this book. And yes, it is in physical book form. I started the physical book, but I ended up listening to most of it. So this is a bit of a lie. Are you fucking kidding me? Hold on a second. Oh my God, that was almost a disaster. My laptop has like no freaking space on it, and the screen recording just stopped. So I had to like download the first like chunk of footage that I just did onto a drive, a little thumb drive. But we're back. Okay, everyone, we're fine. Don't worry about it. I don't even know what I was in the middle of saying. I think the last book that I was talking about was Oryx and Crake. I definitely plan on continuing to read the series. However, yeah, the first book was a slog to get through. The writing style, so weird. But I remember it being a lot less weird in the other book because it is not in the point of view of someone that is like so fucked up in the head. Anyways, Bride by Ali Hazelwood screams. I don't know what I don't know what was in that book that made me love it so much, but oh my God, this unlocked something in my brain. I always say this when I talk about this book, but it's like, I never read Twilight as a tween, okay? So I didn't have that brain chemistry altering experience in my younger years, so I don't know what happened now. I almost fear what would have happened to me as a young person if I had read Twilight. I feel like the trajectory of my life would have been completely different, but I was so like, everyone's doing it, so I'm not gonna do it kind of thing. I still a little bit do that for sure, but I'm curious now, I can't lie. I think I'm gonna try to read Twilight for the first time this year. I'll definitely make a video on that when that happens, but I just want to see what the hype is about. I'm sure it's gonna be cringy as hell, but like, I just really learned that I loved vampire romances this year. Like paranormal romance, specifically vampire romance. Love that shit. Absolute crack to me. I don't know what it is. So if you have any good vampire romance recs, I beg you to drop them in the comments right now, please. The only ones I've ever read are going to be in this video because I haven't read any others. So there we go. You know what I've read, you know what I haven't. Please help me out. Anyways, absolute whiplash from the highest rated book of the year, technically, because All the ones on the Screams category are 5 stars for me, although Homegoing is like a 6-star read. To the lowest rating, which was a 1 star, You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. Don't even get me fucking started. Don't even get me started on Geneva Rose. I have talked about her too much. It's even annoying me how much I talk about it. Bad book, bad writing. Do not read Geneva Rose books. I beg of you, for your own sanity, do not do it. Anyways, let's move on. Inkblood Sister Scribe. I feel like the more that I think about this book, actually, the more I like it. It was so good. Like, it's really hard to come off of one of the worst books you've ever read to a book that was actually pretty freaking decent. I would say I really loved this book. It was something that I was not expecting. It was a little bit of romance, a little bit of thriller, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of academia, a little bit of magic. A lot of fun. Definitely recommend. One for my enemy. If you watched my paranormal romance reading blog, you know my thoughts on this already, but it was just simply not for me. I did not connect with this writing. I mean, the actual writing itself, it was good. It was very flowery, very beautiful. The plot, questionable. The atmosphere, non-existent. I said this in the reading blog, but I was reading this book in New York, and I didn't even feel like I was in New York. Please tell me how that makes sense. I like to read a book set in New York because it makes me fall back in love with this city that is so hard to love sometimes. And this book could have literally been set on Mars for all I know, because it mentioned New York about 2 times. I can't. When a book has no discernible setting or atmosphere, my interest is out the window. Anyways, The Scarlet Veil. I honestly loved this book. Like, let's be so honest. Oh shoot, hold on. I had so much fun reading this book. I don't know what it was. I think I rated it like 3.75 or 4 stars just because the writing, it's a YA. It's a YA fantasy romance, vampire romance. But it was fun. Like, when I think about this book, I think about the fact that it was fun. I liked the yearning. If you like yearning, baby girl, read this book. If you like yearning, if you like vampire romance, if you like enemies to lovers, the main character is a little bit annoying, but what 19-year-old girl isn't? Let's be real. I had a good time. There's definitely some, like, just forget about it when you're reading it. It's very much in the same vein of, like, A Court of Thorns and Roses vibe. Like, 19-year-old girl who is quite annoying meets extremely, extremely old magical being, and they don't like each other at first, and then they do, kind of vibe. And it's kind of cringy, but it's so much fun, and I really enjoyed it. And the twist at the end had my jaw on the floor. Really excited to read the second book in this little duology. And then keeping strong with the vampire romance because I could not get enough of it. My roommate is a vampire. Ugh, genuinely such a fun time. Oh, it goes down here. There we go. I loved this book. It was so cute. It was so cute. The freaking, like, just like kicking my feet. Like, I really liked it. It was so silly and so unserious. Did the job though. I love vampire romances. I don't know what to say. They just make me want to giggle. Like, please. I'm embarrassing myself right now. They make me so giddy for no fucking reason. Like, come on. This book was so cute. The banter was adorable. The character, the vampire, is so old and so oblivious. He does not know what's going on. He just doesn't get it, and he's so cute. Like, I just love this book. It's so adorable. I actually, based on my experience of just talking about it just now, it has to be a love. I love this book. It's so cute. I love the characters. Okay, In Italy for Love, another love This is/was an arc that I got from NetGalley. I'm not 100% sure if it's out yet, but oh my gosh, I really enjoyed it a lot. I didn't have high hopes. You know, the cover is kind of like a little chunky, but the story was fan-freaking-tastic. It's one of those books that kind of feels like a romance, but also like a literary fiction. There's other things going on. The setting, mwah, impeccable, so good. If you like something that's a little bit deeper than just like your average fluffy romance, but you still are craving one, there we go, right there. The writing style was also just like really nice, super cute, good banter. All around, it was a great book. Killer Instinct, genuinely a fun time. I love this series so much. It's so freaking cute. I'm so excited and yet sad to read the last book. I had it on my Kindle, and then a bunch of other books came up, and then I had to let it go. So now I'm waiting again at the library for like the next 2 months for it to come back, but it's okay. The Dead Romantics. Loved this book. I love Ashley Poston. What is going on? Okay, we need to get through the last bunch because my thing just kicked me out again, and only after like 10 minutes. So this is not good. My computer is not having a good time right now. What was I just talking about? The Dead Romantics. Really good book. I nearly gave that one 5 stars. I feel like in the moment I gave it 5 stars, but I've knocked it down to 4.75 because I really liked that book. It was really, really good. It kind of gave me some flutteries, but not the full 5-star tinglies that I usually get. I really reserve a 5-star special book. It's a very elite club in my brain for some reason. So anyways, super cute. I love a magical realism romance, and her writing is just so beautiful and sweet. Book people. I loved this book. It was so cute. Another arc. I don't think this one is out yet. Maybe it's coming out really, really soon. Dueling book shop owners across the street in a small village in England. Grumpy Sunshine. So much fun. I loved this book. It was so cute. All in, again, genuinely a fun time. The Two Hungers of Prince Fier was a bit of a stinker to me. Unfortunately, this is another arc. I don't think it is out yet. The more I think about it, the less I have good things to say about it. It really tried to do something, and I totally understand what the author was trying to do. However, it did not pan out. Definitely don't recommend that one, honestly. I'm so sorry to Darcy Ashe, but I do not recommend reading that book. It's a hot mess all over the place, and then the things that it's trying to say is just like shoving it down your throat. Didn't do what it was trying to do, unfortunately. Wild Failure, same thing. Another arc that I got a while ago that I never read. That was just not for me. The writing was interesting, and I feel like a lot of people do really like this book / collection of stories. I'm realizing that I'm not really much of a short story person. I can't really connect to the characters when it's less than 200 pages. I can't get into it as much, so I don't know. And also just like the characters that they chose in these stories, it just didn't really click with me. It was kind of just not for me. I think a lot of other people's mileage may vary, but Luck and Last Resorts, it was kind of teetering on the edge of nothing to write home about and a fun time because it was fine. It did the job. I had a good time while listening. It was fun. It was cute. The banter was good. There was like the backstory. Everyone had something going on. Again, very much trauma porn romance, so like be prepared to get punched in the face a little bit, but it was fun. Last Call at the Local, love that one. The main characters have ADHD and OCD. Just sorry about the freaking, there's so much noise. I hate it. Please get me out of here. Last Call at the Local. Okay, I need a second. Okay, I think we're finally screen recording again. Where was I? I don't know what I last said. Last Call at the Local, it was good. I liked it. Okay, cool, great. I'm so over this. We just need to speed run through the rest of them because this keeps booting me out. It is not working. My computer is like not having it. It's like, girl, we're out of space. Stop trying to do this. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Loved that. Also, sorry that the spacing is different now for some reason. I don't know, whatever, just please live with it. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was a fantastic book. I listened to it and it was so good that I would have read it, but Julia Whalen was the audiobook narrator for it and she did such a good job. I was so immersed. I listened to it basically in like a day or two, even though it's like a... Anyways, very, very good, super great audiobook. Definitely recommend that one. Really beautiful writing, like really just like good imagery, great book. The Mistletoe Motive. Sorry to say, but it's kind of nothing to write home about. Had all the good rep in it. However, it was a little silly and definitely not anything to remember. Probably will never reread this, but it was cute, it did the job, it kept me warm at night during the winter. So anyways, the guest list, genuinely a fun time. Again, I'm very wary of adult thrillers, but this one was actually good. There was a couple of moments where I was like, ugh, this is so annoying, because there was a couple of moments of like suspending disbelief a little too many times, but I like that I kind of didn't see the ending coming. But if you went back and read it, there were little hints. It's very interesting. I would say it was a fun read if you kind of just want something grippy to listen to or read or whatever. Ninth House. Love that one. Really good. Good time, good vibes. The beginning was slow, very confusing, very dense. The rest of the book, so fun. Love the main character, Alex. You're my babe. I can't wait to read the other books in this little, I hope it's just a trilogy. Oh my God, Leap Bardugo. If you pull another fast one on me, I swear to God. We all thought it was gonna be a duology. Okay, Ninth House, Hellbent, the end. Nope, it's gonna be a trilogy. Anyways, I'm excited to see when the third one comes out. I still haven't read Hellbent yet, but I'm going to in the next couple of weeks. It's on my Kindle right now. Kiss Her Once for me, nothing to write home about. I really think there is absolutely nothing to write home about when it comes to the holiday romance genre. And that's all I'll say about that. It was cute, it was queer. The suspension of disbelief was up in the rafters, absolutely. And I feel like even in a holiday romance, it still makes me roll my eyes. So sorry about that. Out on a Limb. Genuinely a fun time. Such a cute book. Such a cute book. Definitely know what you're getting into going into this book. Not to spoil it or anything, but there is a pregnancy trope in it. It's basically the whole point of the book. So just know that going in, okay? There's disability rep in it, which is really cool because the author actually has the same limb difference as the main character in the book, so that's really cool. But yeah, definitely cute. Definitely had a good time. Essentialism. It's hard for me to rate a nonfiction book because like I really did love this book. I listened to the audiobook of this and I thought it was really good. I definitely, again, will say, take everything with a grain of salt. If some piece of advice does not fit your lifestyle, just throw it out. Don't worry about it. Whenever I'm listening to a nonfic, I see it through the eyes of me. And I'm like, oh, this guy runs a business in an office. How does that possibly relate to what I'm doing in my life? And then I just take all the advice and filter it through my own brain. And I'm like, wow, this was really informative and so good. And other people are like, wow, this was like so much about business and it was boring. And I'm like, what? I didn't even remember that. It falls out of my head so fast. Like my brain does not cling on to the pieces of information that don't apply to me. So your mileage may vary with this book, but in general, if you watch my channel, my main channel especially, I would say you will probably fuck with this book because it is about doing less, buying less, stressing less, all that kind of stuff, just like core down to the main things in your life that matter and then focus on that. So with that being said, I think we are done with the freaking tier ranking. I feel pretty good about this. This is 70 books right here. Wow. Yes, and I know there's not that many books up here. Like I said, My 5-star reads is an exclusive MVP club, okay? So I would say I'm really happy that most of the books are up here. I feel like I know the kind of books that I like to read, and that's just how it is. And I feel like I've only gotten closer to what kinds of books that I really, really enjoy reading this year. I learned a lot about my tastes. I had a fun time reading. I was besties with my Kindle the whole year. And 2025 is the year of the physical book for me. I was just about to say a big physical TBR. It's not that big. It's not that big. But there's a lot of literary fiction on it, so that's really fun. I'm super excited to get back into literary fiction in a big way. And that's pretty much it, I would say. Thank you so much for watching. This was such a pain in my ass. If I do this again, I will do it on my PC because my laptop is nearing death. It has no freaking storage on it. I can't do anything on this laptop anymore. Okay, anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that it was worth all the pain that I went through to put this together for you because I love you all so much. So that's it for the video. Thanks again. How many times have I said this? My brain has literally melted. I've been talking for so long. I am overstimulated by the sound of my own voice at this point. I'm tired. I want to go read and go to bed. Thank you so much for listening to me blabber for I don't even know how long. I don't even want to know. Till the next one, I'm sending you all my love because we're all just trying our best out here. So yeah, that's it. Love you. Happy reading. Bye. See you later.